Hi everybody, this is Kent from Man About Tools, and today we're going to pump mud out of the bottom of this shallow irrigation well. Here on the west coast we have plenty of water in the winter months, but it can get really dry in the summer. So having enough water for our expanding garden is a concern. We are fortunate to have an irrigation well over in the corner of our property. It's a shallow dug well with a pump house. There's an underground water line running across the field behind me to the hose bibs on the house for flower beds there. Last year we fenced in a large section of our field here for a vegetable garden. I tapped into that underground 1-inch line and put in several hose bibs inside the fenced area. We had just enough time last spring to add some beds with timers and drip irrigation to our new garden. During the driest part of the summer, the well was getting very low and I worried that we'd run out of water. Checking the well, I found that when full, we had a water depth of about 8 feet, or approximately 500 gallons. An old hand-drawn sketch of the irrigation water system indicated that the well was originally 16 feet deep. Over the years, the well has silted up, and there must be close to 6 feet of mud in the bottom. The original 1¼ inch plastic hose is buried securely in the mud. Also, a 6-inch diameter plastic drain pipe that's hung by a rope in the middle is mostly buried and it won't budge. I found later that this big pipe has several slots cut down its length and it was sunk right to the bottom. It looks like the previous owner had their pump hose and foot valve running down inside it. Perhaps it kept mud and silt from clogging the foot valve. I can't say for sure what its purpose was, but if you've seen anything like this before, please leave me a note in the comments section below. To expand our garden and have the water we need, I knew I had to find a way to get the mud out. Talking with my neighbors, they suggested I rent a gas-powered trash pump, stir up the sediment with a long pole, then pump the thick slurry of mud and water out onto the field. When the mud dried, it could then be shoveled up and carted away. Others had suggested that you need to get down there on a rope with buckets and bail the sediment out by hand. I've taken some confined space awareness training, so I felt this was not a good idea. Not for me anyways. The trash pump sounded like it might work, but I was worried it wouldn't have the suction needed if the deeper layers of sediment had compressed into thick, heavy clay. There's a small stream beside the well that has over the years redirected itself to run right up against the concrete casing rings. I suspected that it may have overtopped the well during a heavy storm and been the source of most of the mud. I redirected the stream away from the well last summer in case that was adding to the silt up. I found muddy water leaking around the seam of the first and second ring and a trail of mud running down the inside. I dug a hole on the outside to investigate. Sure enough, there was a 2½ inch diameter hole in the side of the well. I braced a thin piece of flexible plywood with a 2x4 on the inside against the hole, then mixed up a bag of cement and poured it against the outside wall, pushing the wet cement into the hole to form a plug. For extra strength, I added a small section of wired reinforcing grid to the cement plug. After a few days, I removed the plywood, then patched up the inside with some hydraulic cement mortar. This is super fast setting cement designed to plug concrete water leaks, and it worked very well. There's a 4-inch diameter cement pipe that runs just underground from the pump house, over the stream, and through the wall of the well. This pipe protects the 1¼ inch black plastic water line. Around this pipe there was a big gap that mud could get in, so I patched that up with hydraulic cement too. It was suggested by another friend that a vacuum truck might be a better way to get the mud out, so I arranged to have a local pumping contractor come over and try to remove the sediment. Before he came, I pumped all the water into a tank and several garbage cans. No sense in wasting any, and we might need this water later to loosen up the mud and spray down the inside of the well casing to clean it. Our well is near a road, so the owner of the vacuum truck, Mike, was able to park close by. He ran his 3-inch suction hose down the slope and into the well. It didn't take long to see that this was working. The strength of the suction was impressive and the mud was coming out. The first few feet the mud was soft and it pumped pretty quickly. The deeper he went, the mud got thicker and had the consistency of clay. He was able to free that big 6-inch drain pipe and pull it up out of the way. The old water hose also became free, and we got that out of the way too. After a few hours, Mike reached the bottom and we could hear gravel coming up the hose. I checked the depth with a tape and we were down 15 feet. He was able to get almost all the mud out and his hose was just long enough to reach the bottom. I was relieved that this worked so well. This is Ken from Man About Tools. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you see on our channel, please give us a thumbs up and hit subscribe if you haven't done so already. Take care. We'll see you next time. So the last thing to do this morning is to get that concrete lid back on the well.